Hi, and welcome back to Cooking with Kayla D. I'm Kayla, and this is my husband, Randy. And if you haven't done so already, please like, subscribe, share, and also hit that notification bell so you get the latest recipes loaded here every Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Today we're going to be making Crunchwrap Supremes, the Taco Bell classic, in our own version of it. But first, we're going to be making some homemade refried beans. Of course, you can skip this step if you'd like, but let's get to those beans for our Crunchwrap Supreme. For our Instapot refried beans recipe, we're going to need the Instapot, 2 cups of pinto beans, 3 cups of warm water, 1 tablespoon of oil, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, and 2 to 3 teaspoons of salt. First, what you're going to do is get your Instapot out, and you're going to go ahead and put your tablespoon of cooking oil. Make sure to cover the bottom. Not completely, but pretty good. You just want to make sure it's getting everywhere. And then next you're going to put your dry beans in. I put the 2 cups of dry beans that I had rinsed and checked for rocks. I used pinto beans for mine. Then next I'm only going to be putting in 2.5 to maybe 3 cups of water. What I want to do is get it about an inch above the beans. Then I'm going to go ahead and add my salt and my garlic powder and my onion powder to the mixture. And then I'm going to head and place my Instapot lid on. Make sure it's locked. The valve is to where it's supposed to be. And then I'm going to go ahead and set the front. Now on the front, you'll want to pressure cook. I've got mine set to 2 hours and 30 minutes with a slow release of 1 hour. And now that it has been an hour since it has slow released, we're going to go ahead and open our valve. Make sure your little silver notch next to the valve is down. And you open your valve and go ahead and lift off your lid. Let the steam come out. And then, as you can see, the beans had sucked up all the water. So I'm going to use super hot water, and I'm going to add about a half a cup at a time. This time it only took a half a cup. And I went ahead and took my potato masher and I started mashing up my beans. And you just keep mashing. This generally takes 2 to 3 minutes to complete this. As the beans stick to the bottom, just lift them up with your little potato masher. Knock them off, and then continue to mush again and just keep repeating the process. After you get your beans completely mashed, then you will want to get a spoon out for a tasting. At that point, you're going to taste it. If it needs more salt, you're going to add more salt to it. And you do want it a little bit runny at this point because it's going to set up and thicken as it sits. Now I'm going to go ahead and pack away half of the beans for another day. I will freeze them in the freezer with 1/4 inch of water on top of them, and then I'll place the lid on. And then here are the beans for our main recipe today. We'll put those aside now. Here's a side note for the beans. When you are freezing them, what you'll want to do is after you put them in your container for freezing, you'll want to put 1/4 inch of water on top of them and then cover them with a lid and freeze them. And then when you go to defrost them, that water is going to have to soften your beans back up because your beans are going to be very hard. They are a starch just like a potato, and like pasta, they're going to keep sucking water and being dry. So you definitely want to keep adding water. It is normal, so don't think it is not. So if you need to add more water as you're rehydrating your beans, that is completely fine. Just make sure you're using warm water if you're getting ready to serve them. For me, I flip it upside down, the ice side down, straight from the freezer into a pan on low. The water will defrost first, making the water so it keeps the beans from sticking to the bottom of the pan. And then I slow cook them back up to temperature, and they turn out perfect every time. And now for the star of the night, the Crunchwrap Supreme. At least this is my version of a Crunchwrap Supreme. And for the ingredients, You will need 1 pound of ground beef or ground meat of your choice, an 1/8 cup of water, 1 packet of taco seasoning or homemade seasoning of your choice. And then these are quantity per person, however many you are serving. You'll need burrito-sized tortillas, small flour tortillas, tostadas, crunchy, or make your own with the corn tortillas, chopped tomatoes, grated cheese, sour cream or crema. Also, you can do Pico De Gallo salsa or queso cheese. And I forgot to mention shredded lettuce, so please don't forget your shredded lettuce. First, you're going to get an iron skillet and get it super smoky. If you don't have one, that's fine. A skillet's fine. And then once it is smoky and heating up, you want to go ahead and put your meat in it. I am using a 7% organic grass-fed beef, so I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of cooking oil to mine, just so it's got a little bit of healthy fat in it. I also put salt and pepper into my meat. I like to season my meat as I go. Gordon Ramsay has taught me through YouTube to always season as you go. So I will season even though I'm using a season pack. It's just part of the habit now. So you will ground your beef up or your meat, your turkey, chicken, whatever it is you're choosing to use, and go ahead and just continue to cook that and chop that up on medium high until your meat is cooked through. You are not going to drain this unless you use a fattier meat, then of course you'll want to drain it. For me, I used extra lean meat, so I know draining is necessary. And now that the meat is cooked through, we'll go ahead and add our taco seasoning packet straight to the meat. And then also go ahead and add that 1/8 cup of water to your meat and mix thoroughly. Sorry I didn't show you the water going in, but it steamed up the camera. I cut it out. And then you cook this down on medium to medium high until it has a thick, saucy consistency and set aside. And now you want to take your large flour tortillas and warm them up for 10 to 15 seconds in the microwave so they do not break when folding. Then go ahead and place your large flour tortilla down, your burrito one, and you're going to go ahead and in a circular motion the size of a corn tortilla, you're going to spread your refried beans. If you don't want beans in yours, you don't have to put beans in yours. If you don't want the homemade, you can use canned beans, or you can use whole black beans, whatever is good for you and your family. Next, I'm going to go ahead and I used a 1/2 cup of the meat to do my serving. I got 1/2 cup of that taco meat and I went ahead and placed it on and spread it around. Then added my grated Mexican cheese is what I choose to use today on top of the meat. And then I'm going to place my crispy corn tortilla that I fried myself on top. You can use the tostada ones that are already done. And then I took my sour cream, you can also use crema, and I spread it all along the top of my tortilla. Of course, you can build yours any way you see fit. This is just the way I had done it. And then after I got my sour cream spread on the way I wanted it, then I went ahead and I topped it with the lettuce. And then instead of chopped tomatoes for mine, I used Pico De Gallo. There is another recipe up for that. I will leave a link in the description box if you would like to make some homemade Pico De Gallo. Then I took my smaller tortillas and I ordered a little bit too small, so I used 2. I placed them on there and then I gently start folding up my tortilla, the large one, and you want to make sure to hold down your folded ends so they do not unfold, and get that folded up just like you see here. Be very gentle. You do not want to tear that. Then flip it upside down so you can get your pan ready. I just used an extra large skillet with a little cooking spray. I got it really hot. Then I stuck it in with the seam side down, and I took that iron skillet of meat and just stuck it right on top. And then when it was ready to flip, I lifted the meat off and went ahead and got my spatula and flipped my tortilla wrap very gently. And as you can see, it got very crispy. It cooked a little bit too much, I will admit that. But I'm not about being perfect here. I'm just about cooking good food. So then once it cooks on that side long enough and you can see that it is done, go ahead and remove it. You'll want to place it on your cutting board, seam side down. Cut into it. Man, that thing was so good, let me tell you. And there you have it, a delicious homemade Crunch Wrap Supreme from our house to yours. Thank you for joining us. God bless you always, and enjoy your wonderful 4th of July weekend. Happy Independence Day from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And this is my disclaimer.
For you, brethren, have been called to liberty, only do not use liberty as an opportunity for the flesh, but through love serve one another. Galatians 5:13.